And so what do you think are the most important things that our youth and people in general can do when they encounter a police officer if they've been diagnosed with autism? Is there some tool that's available to them?
Yes. Number one is let the police know about your autism. If you have autism, have a safe way of letting the police know.
And you created something specifically for this purpose,
I did.
Right?
Yes. I came up with the I Have Autism card for drivers in particular. So this is something you could keep in your wallet, and then when the police ask you for your license or ID, you also hand them the card.
Okay.
So that's the safest thing, because the police have already asked you to produce something. They're expecting you to reach into a pocket or bag to get it, but you would just pull out 2 things instead of 1.
Right.
We actually have a scene about this in Be Safe with a girl being pulled over by the police and handing over her autism card, but she's also wearing a medical alert bracelet on her left wrist.
Okay.
Because that's the hand that's on the wheel with facing the officer if you get pulled over. And they're trained to look for medical alert tags.
And they make you generally, when a police officer pulls you over, they ask you to put your hands at 10 and 2. Hands on the wheel, please, so then it's identifiable and they can see, and they will flip it over and look.
They will.
So in the absence of, let's say, a medical ID bracelet, you've got this card, and I'm looking at a copy of this. It's really quite ingenious. It says, I have autism. And on the back, it says how to help me, which we're going to throw up on the screen for you to see, but it talks about calming techniques, help me keep my cool, use a calm voice. Sometimes police officers can come off quite abrupt, especially standing on the side of a freeway, let's say.
That's called command presence, and it's part of their training.
Okay. Avoiding physical contact, if possible, to reduce flight or fight response. So
the panic mode that someone might go
into. Exactly,
into.
which is also the benefit of having this training and allowing our youth to experience it in a safe and quiet environment before it actually, God forbid, happens. Reducing input like noise and lights to calm my senses. Sometimes if you're pulled over at night, the first thing a police officer will do is shine that light right in your face.
A friend of mine who was driving who has autism, the police were behind her, and she was so freaked out by the lights in her mirror and in her window that she pulled over in front of an oncoming car and got hit.
Oh, goodness.
She was so freaked out. So we asked, reduce the noise, the number of people, the proximity, whatever you can do physically to make the environment more tolerable.
Which is really great training for our police officers, because if they're aware of this, they will share this with their colleagues, and then that spreads to whenever there is an incident where someone's pulled over or does have to encounter law enforcement. Be clear, use simple words, give 1 instruction at a time. That's a big one.
It is, and it's hard for them to do. And in our training, they come up with these solutions. These are the solutions that the police came up with in Experience Autism.
Even more ingenious.
So they came up with these ideas themselves, and they know why it works. And even if they haven't been trained, it's all spelled out for them here very clearly. Okay.
Also, wait, be patient. I need time to think and respond. That goes right back to the example that you gave about, say, I love dogs without using O. So I like puppies. These police officers have learned, I think, to be more patient and to give people time to respond.
Right. And if this is the first time the police officer's even hearing about autism from this card, if they can do these things, it's right there.
Well, and if it's saying this is how you can help me, then I think that you've already gotten yourself 10 steps ahead of the game in terms of being safe and not having an environment that's potentially harmful.
The police say, the more information I have, the better I can do my job.
Okay.
In an emergency, there's not a lot of time to explain, but to have something like this, or any other tool that someone prefers to use, if they don't want this one, they could use another tool. But the more instantaneous information they can get with the least amount of language.
Sure.
And especially for people who don't have a lot of language in the first place.
Well, and for law enforcement, it's usually a situation of assess, collect that information quickly, and make a spur-of-the-moment decision that's the most safe decision for whatever the environment calls for at the time in order to keep everyone safe. The last item on here for how to help me is call someone who knows me and ask them to help. Is there a place on this card for police officers? Okay, so on the back side, and I'm looking at this card, and we're going to put it up on the screen for you in a moment, but it says, emergency contacts. My name is, fill in your name. I need help in an emergency or criminal situation. Please get in touch with my emergency contact right away. And there are a couple of names and numbers, and where you live.
Yes.
So that's very, very helpful. That already puts you so far ahead of the game.
Yes, because, you know, it's really important for someone to be able to self-disclose and not rely on like a parent to arrive on scene
Sure.
or a caregiver to arrive on scene. You know, that doesn't always go well. The police like to follow their protocols. If they ask for an ID and they get this extra information, they can incorporate it rather than having something disruptive.
And where do people get these cards? If I'm a parent and I want some of these cards, how do I get them?
We have them at besafethemovie.com. We also have them for Down syndrome and Alzheimer's.
Okay, fabulous.